So it is 3 p.m. All three selectmen are present. Bill, our finance director, is entering the room right now. I will call this Board of Selectmen special meeting to order this Monday, February 6th, 2023 at 3 p.m. The purpose of today's meeting is just to review some budget items and have presentations predominantly from agencies. And I always begin with opening up the floor to any citizen comments, but it doesn't look like there's any citizens that aren't employees or representatives of the town, but floor is open to anybody who would like to make a citizen comment. All right, with that, we will move forward with Teague, our first presenter, Ann Miller. And I gave you screen share ability, so if you wanted to share a screen, you're good to go with that.
Okay, so does that mean, did you receive my report electronically?
Yes, this was the funding request.
Correct.
And that was sent to the selectmen.
Okay, so I can share that if you'd like. If you think that would be helpful as I speak.
Sure.
That way, if you don't have it with you or don't have it up on your screen.
I didn't bring it up on my screen.
Perfect, I'll do that then.
Okay, great.
So I think I'd like to start with a narrative request.
Mm-hmm.
So that just takes all of, can you see that?
Nope, I can't see it yet.
Make sure I chose. That should show it, but it doesn't, does it?
Now, I could probably find it in my emails. Let's see.
Town of Thompson, I have it right there. Hold on. I don't know why it's not. Let me try it again.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. So you can see it now.
Yes.
All right, very good. So the last few years, what I've done is I've put a little grid in here to talk about value of services over time. Mm-hmm. So just to get everybody up to date, we do a number of services and we value those services based on hours delivered or goods and services delivered, items delivered, or actual dollars delivered. So in the case of fuel assistance, it would obviously be actual dollars. In case management, it would be case management hours. We are valuing a bag of food at $35 right now. We think that's probably pretty low considering the way that things are going. But for the fiscal year, last year, we were valuing it at $35. And we will make adjustments as time goes on, as inflation affects things, we do make adjustments to those. So that's all held in the other two reports that I gave you. I don't know if I gave you the 6-month, I gave you the 12-month report, which is fiscal year 21-22. That's the year that we're really reporting on. And that's the one that you see here on this second line. So during that year, our total service value was $550,555. Mm-hmm. That was up from $502,440 the previous year. But I think that the most compelling figure is the 6-month figure of $387,055 just in the first 6 months of fiscal year 22-23. So that's, to me, pretty compelling. That's quite a change in services. We are seeing more people in our markets and more people at our door all the time. We saw in the new clients that we saw, so we saw 633 households in the town of Thompson during fiscal year 21-22, and that meant 1,396 individuals. New out of that group was 188 households with 349 individuals. The 6 months since then, we've seen 489 households. So we wipe it clean starting at the new year. And then even if those folks have come to us before they become a household. Sorry about that. And in the 6 months, we've seen 47 new households already this year. So we should be seeing new households. We should be seeing them probably at a lower rate, but we know the economy is poor right now. We should be seeing some of our previous households stepping away from us, right? The idea is not that they stay with us forever. So at 633 households, that's up significantly. And it looks like we at almost 500 now in the 6 months, and we've really been even busier this past month. It looks like we're going to hit that again, but the economy is bad. We've got some people who are really facing some very large deficits. We have our homeless folks down here that we've been working with, and that alone has taken, I just pulled some numbers on that. We have provided that group with $7,713 in services so far this year, just to keep them warm and in that place. So $1,630 was just in items, and $3,660 was in food. So they require food that can be cooked over propane and not stored. So we're often bringing them food that they can use on a every couple day basis when the weather's warm and so forth. Also, the first time that people touch our services is really through our food markets. That's really the most common way for somebody to come in. And in that area, $287,000 worth of food.
Mhm.
So again, food has become a real issue for people. We are not distributing food. We used to distribute food once a month, and we really talk a lot about healthy food and fresh food. And so there's two reasons. I really felt that delivering fresh food once a month didn't make a lot of sense. And then the need for people was going up. So if people have a need, they can use any of our markets. So they use our Pomfret market, they use our delivery system, they use our mobile market in Woodstock, although we did not have anybody from Thompson using that, but we do have people go to the Pomfret market. Our CFSP boxes are for seniors whose income is very low. And we make deliveries out to seniors in the town of Thompson. And that actually was a pretty high value during that time. I was kind of surprised at how many we did. Our deliveries were $2,275 worth of deliveries in the 12-month period. And our deliveries have jumped to 19,000 in the 6-month period. And that's because we've found a lot of our elderly who can't get out or who have been isolated and don't want to be out. We don't just deliver if we feel that people can get out, but it's mostly elderly people, shut-ins, that we're delivering to. I also wanted to talk about the fact that we are providing a really good number of youth services in this town. So people through our Youth Service Bureau got $46,000 in services, and our early childhood programs provided $30,000 in services. So I think you can see from all of that that the need is pretty great. We're doing a lot of intensive case management through the markets. That's been new this year. And Amy, I know you've been over and seen that, but you know, we have a desk where people come in and we actually just kind of gently and quietly question them. How are you doing? How's your fuel? How are things going with food? If you're using the market 4 times a month, Is there a reason for that? Do you have SNAP benefits? Can we help you fill out something for SNAP benefits? And so we'll do kind of a benefits check with everybody once a month, once a week when they come in, just see how things are going and if there's anything else that we can do. We do talk budgeting with them. Joanne Chanel, who's worked in banking for many years, is happy to meet and do budgeting. And actually Jill is working with a client right now whose son wants to go to college, filling out a FAFSA. So we really try to find somebody that can work to meet whatever somebody really needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions from the selectmen?
I would add, we're asking for a $5,000 bump this year, and I'm sure you know why. I don't think I need to go into the details of it. It's just trying to even pay and keep help, and we'd like to get everybody into the 10-11% range for value of services to try to keep people in there.
Right. Well, considering your total service value in a 6-month period so far, I think you'll be looking at, I don't think that's gonna slow down any.
No, unfortunately.
So, Anne, if I read the Teague Town report, there's so many different programs that you offer. So if I'm looking senior services, individual services on one line, I can see that there's 138 households and 146 individuals. Would that be, but then there's also senior services, family services, and there's so many. Do you kind of know the total number of Thompson residents that you're serving?
For seniors?
Seniors or the youth or early childhood, is there like, I know that you put a value on it, but is there a magic number that we might be looking at? How many lives are you touching within Thompson?
Yeah, so if you look, if you look over to the right on the report, let me see if I can get that report up for all of you. You're really challenging me here with my skills. I'm going to pull the 21-22 report up.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So what Amy's talking about is, as you look through this report, can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So when you look at early childhood, and then you look over to the right, we're saying that we did 70 sessions of Focus on Family, $40 per session, and that 41 households representing 139 individuals attended that. Over on the right are how many of them were new. So if we went down, and we looked at, I hope this answers what you're asking, and we asked in senior services, how many people are we touching? You would total, well, you're right, because there's some repetition of services.
I would assume that's what I mean. I'm assuming if I look at that bigger number, that's probably a rough estimate, or?
Yeah, because most seniors who were using the services under individual would fill out a Form 5.
Yeah.
However, if you go down to, so for senior lunch, they're going to fill out a Form 5. So that one, the 138. And then if you went down to the 21, which is the senior care program.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of that program, but that started during the pandemic when we realized that many seniors could not get incontinence supplies. And that's not diapers, but it's pull-ups, it's poise pads. And also they were asking for things like vitamins and over-the-counter pain relief for arthritis. So it's the Salon Pass patches and analgesics and some vitamins and so forth. So we raised the money for that. And in that year, we served 21 people. Let's see what we're doing now. The next year we served 25 people. So you would add, if I were just ballparking it, I would add the 138 and the 21
Mhm.
you get 159, and then up above with benefits, counseling, reverse trick or treat. I would probably say that accounts for another, I would say 300 in knowing what they would have to fill out and what that looked like. I would say 300 because the people who are doing the reverse trick or treat and May Day are outreach to the congregate care areas. Those would be the same people. So I'd put it around 325.
Right.
I would tell you then, though, that if you look down in the food distribution, a lot of the people who use our
Right.
food.
Well, you know what I realized when I went to the end of the report, Anne?
Yeah.
You have the town total here at 550,000
Yep.
and change. And then there's a line that says unduplicated counts for this. 633 households, 1,396 people. Does that sound right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and 188 new households, which you said in your previous statement, there were 188 new households.
And then for the 6 months, it's been 489 total households
Okay,
with 1,215 people served,
okay, wow,
individuals.
yes,
So yeah, that's a pretty good chunk of people.
right.
And a lot of those folks are getting help in other ways too. You know, it's not just us. So
Well, I think our population is 9,226. So if
Yeah.
you've touched a large portion of that at over almost 1,400.
yeah,
So-
absolutely. Absolutely. Our play group is huge. We're doing everything on our campus now. We used to use Mary R. Fisher pre-pandemic, and we used to rent a building, but we're really doing everything except the Pomfret Pantry really on and senior center on our campus.
Right,
So, you know, the other thing that happened this year is it starts at home, wasn't there. So we picked some of
Right.
those folks up as well, which was great. We were happy to do that. And I think that's probably why we saw a good influx at Christmas time,
right,
more than likely, but the homelessness, if you look now on what I've got up in the screen, I said to Chelsea when we were pulling numbers, I said, look, it looks like we did $45 in homelessness, but see, we count the homelessness in different ways.
Mhm.
And we really need to look at the fact that it's not going to count out that way because it's going to count out in food and goods and so forth.
right,
We also did a great deal of work with the families that were down in the blue building. And Amy, you know all of that. You and I have worked side by side on this.
yes,
We did a great deal of work with those families, and it's work, I have to say, I was really overwhelmed by it. We both were for a while, but everybody's housed. They're all safe. They're housed. Many of them did not want to leave Thompson. That was very sad, very hard for them. But we were able to pull that off, and I don't know how we did it, but I was so afraid that some of those kids were going to be unhoused, but we were able to do that. Yeah.
right.
I hope that when that building reopens, more families will be served. It looks like they're doing a really good job on it.
Yes, it's nice to see that building's completely getting renovated inside and out. So,
Yep.
any
other questions?
any other questions, Suzanne or Ken?
Amy, Ann, how you doing?
Fine, Ken. How are you?
Question, what is you finding the most need with the this time of year with the inflation that's going on and energy costs, food? What is it spread out fairly evenly that they're requesting, especially the seniors and the veterans? What area are they actually looking more towards assistance from you in?
Food is a really big one, obviously, but fuel assistance is huge in people's minds. Now so here's an example too of what we're facing. I think it's a legal requirement, all of the oil companies, if they have a new customer, have to inspect the tank now. That's a requirement. We've got one gentleman who has a hole in his tank. And he is waiting for a repair. He can't get oil right now. So heating has been really foremost, but he's also got this piece of equipment that we've now got to find some funding to help him to get that repair, or actually replacement is what we're looking at done. So you have people whose houses I think have really, I think you have a lot of people whose houses are really becoming a challenge for them, particularly our seniors. So he comes in for food. He's got a couple of space heaters. He claims he's okay until he gets, and he's drained all the water out, so he can use our shower and so forth. But just situations like that, Ken, that seem to be coming up more and more. A car repair that's just pushed somebody over the edge, or home repair that's pushed them over the edge. That's what I feel we're seeing more of than we did. And certainly fuel. Certainly fuel has been, we went through our Connecticut energy assistance, and then we were looking at Operation Fuel. Now we've had a nice warm winter, and that has helped us. But people are still, a lot of people are coming to us for fuel, and people are having to wait 2 and 3 weeks between approval and delivery. And even if they are pre-approved, delivery is taking a week or more now, particularly for our clients. A lot of deliverers are saying, hey, they're not a regular customer. I'm not going to get it out there for a week. So there's been that as well.
Is the approvals getting being slow because of the the onslaught of people applying?
I believe so. I mean, everything's hung up at the state level, right? And that's the Connecticut, OPM is, I don't know what your experience at the town hall is, but we're waiting on everything in OPM much longer than we used to. We had some ARPA funding that we're supposed to be getting, and we don't even have a contract yet. And we're almost a year out from that.
Suzanne, any questions for Ann?
No, not really. I mean, I do this for a living, working with the elderly, so I understand the challenges that they're facing, especially with the cutback on the COVID money for the food stamps. And for some of them, that increase they got for a COLA is really not beneficial, because if they're in low income housing, they will basically, their rent will go up and they won't feel, and their food stamps will go down. So, I mean, I understand the elderly anyway. I know the need is out there, and certainly justifiable, $5,000 increase.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
That amount of increase is so minimal. Just
Teague
based on
does
the
so much for
inflation
the
and
people in the town of Thompson. It really does.
Yeah.
We're really grateful to Thompson too. I mean, here we are in this beautiful building, able to serve. And every time we work with a town on any level, people are so gracious and helpful. Like I really, the couple things that I did with Amy through this year, it's been very sad and very hard, but it's also been joyful. I mean, I think the town is very quick to respond and help us out. And, we're also getting a lot of food from Pomfret, believe it or not, because their Pomfret Proprietors, which is their business association, they have a drive every Saturday, every first Saturday of the month. And any overflow, it all goes into our food pot. And believe it or not, that's kind of feeding us back over here, which is good because their residents use this market too. I mean, it all washes out, but it's great that other towns are sort of adding to the lift. And the adult care program, the Woodstock Republican Town Committee has covered that with drives for a couple of years now. So that's helpful too. Oh,
That's
and our
nice.
Step Up to Fix Up program, I wanted to talk about that quickly too, and I don't want to hold anybody up, but that's that's been a great program where we're going in and helping seniors to do minor repairs on their houses. And we had Eversource come out, and we had Enel Energy come out, and they've given us small amounts of money to put toward those repairs, and that helps. So that's really been a great program, and that gave you a good amount of service, I think, last year. It was 600, but then the 6-month one Step up. It's a couple thousand. I can't find it. Step up to fix up 1,200.
Wow.
And that was just yard cleanup and so forth. And that's easy to do. We can add more volunteers into that and do more. But those seniors are just so happy to have somebody come in and do something like that. Even if it's just raking a yard. So, yeah, it's a good area.
And I was surprised to see that there wasn't donation boxes at the polls for the referendum.
There were, for the referendum, we don't usually do it at the referendum. I mean, we could, but we haven't historically. I didn't think about that. We could have done that.
We
Yeah.
actually had somebody come into East Thompson with a bag of food and didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I think Donna got it over to you, but
Yeah. Yeah, we're happy to do it if you want us to do something like that. I think I wasn't sure. We usually just do it during elections, but happy to have things there for you if you'd like.
no, I just didn't know if it was still beneficial, if people were still donating, or I thought maybe it was not, maybe it was a case where people weren't donating like they used to.
Yeah, we did pretty well with the election day food drives this year. But I just didn't think to do a referendum. But I'm happy.
And
to
not
do
as
it.
many people go out to the referendum too. So.
Right. And there's so many polls out in Thompson.
I know. I used to do those pickups.
Yeah.
But every little
I'm
bit
happy to
helps.
do it. Yeah. Ken?
Most definitely, every little bit will help.
Yes, absolutely.
Ann, how's the JRB doing? Are we seeing an uptick in problems there, or?
Oh my God, Ken, the state has turned everything over. They are, if it goes to juvenile court, it's often coming back to us. So they keep sending it back to us. I think we've got 38 active cases right now. That's a lot. And trying to manage that. And that runs for everything, so the school can recommend it, the state police, the local police, schools. We've had a couple of parents who have come in and said, I need help with my kid. And we've got somebody who's working, Howie. So we have Howie Smith now, who was a state trooper running our JRB, which is actually going very well. But we meet twice a month, and then those kids are monitored for 6 months by us in and out. I'm actually, because we can't get enough youth workers, I'm actually working with 2 of them right now on journaling, mentoring type of stuff, because they really need attention. Lots of fighting, lots and lots and lots of fighting, lots of dab pens, which are weed, they're smoking weed, lots of weed in schools, lots of vaping, bullying, lots of bullying. And that's not just Thompson, it's Thompson, Pomfret, Putnam, and Woodstock. But kids are pretty broken right now, and the state very much wants them to go through the JRB process rather than the court process. And I think there's a happy medium, and I don't think we're at the happy medium right now. There are some kids that we are very capable of helping, and there are other kids that probably need more than what we can do. But for now, they're coming through us. That's the law. That's the way it's set up.
Any other questions for Ann?
No, I'm all set. Thank you so much, Ann.
No,
Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you and your staff and everybody associated with TEAC for everything that they do.
Thank you all. Thank you for all you do, and take care.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Any citizen comments at this time? Citizen comments?
I'm the only citizen, I think, watching, and we're very lucky to have TEAC. So what can I say?
Absolutely. Totally agree,
Thanks,
Steve.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we'll move on to our next item. There you go.
Thank
Well
you.
said, Ann. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye
Bye.
now.
All right, so next item on the agenda is going to be the Building Committee and Thompson Historical Society as presented by John Rice. John Rice is here in the office with me, so I'm going to switch my computer around and I'm going to pull up his budget. Any citizen comments at this time? I'm just going to open up before each presentation. So while I'm getting the screen up.
Does John Rice remember the Army Navy game this past year, the score there?
Wait, what did you said that again? Did he see the Army Navy game?
You got it. Yes. Yeah.
Did you see the Army Navy game?
No, I replayed last year's.
He replayed last year's. All right, we'll just get to, what do you want to do first? Building Committee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you, there is, I don't know what they,
Mhm.
I thought it was gonna be here, so I
No, but
brought copies for everybody, but this is basically the budget out of the,
hold on. Sorry, guys. Just give me a second to get Building Committee up. How did I go by it? There you are. That's where you want to start?
let's see where, yeah, I have two increases that I'm requesting. One is for the secretary, and I'm looking for a $25 a month increase on that per meeting. And the other one is the I'm sorry,
No, that's okay.
the building, yeah.
Yeah, still in Building Committee,
and-
right?
Yeah, building committee and the special meetings where we had allocated last year, 8 meetings. And thankfully the referendum passed. So I think we're gonna be quite busy this year and it may take some extra special meetings. We used up, I think, 5 special meetings last year.
Okay,
Uh,
so you want to increase?
So
to-
I'd like to increase that by a couple anyway, at least 10, 10 total.
So John is requesting to change this number to 1,292 for special meetings that might need to be covered by the recording secretary because of the multitude of projects. So,
Well, 12.
John, how many projects do you have in the works?
Right now,
storage.
well, we have the 3 that the referendum passed.
Yeah,
We still haven't finalized the one for the roof that we haven't been compensated for.
Salt storage,
The salt shed, yeah, that's another one.
the EMS
So-
building.
So
Yeah.
that's 5 or 6 going right now.
that would be 6, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So like I say, when
And-
I'm looking, I just trying to plan ahead is that, especially with that HVAC system, we're gonna have to try to get that done. And I think we're gonna be needing extra meetings rather than once a month. It's very difficult to work with a architect and say, okay, well, I'll get back to you next month. Without polling or having a special meeting with the committee. I mean, I don't mind making decisions, but I don't like to do that. I like to keep the committee involved in everything I do. And basically, I just pull a meeting and get it done, and that just increases the amount of work that Danielle is doing. And I just anticipate a lot of that. So the 2 increases, like I say, is 20, she's currently getting 160, 150 a month. And I'm requesting $25 more a meeting, which would bring it up to 186.50.
John, when you're given a charge or your charge is changed and you start a project, you see it through from start to finish, the building committee does,
Yes, ma'am.
until the ribbon cutting.
Whichever comes first. We
Okay,
don't get involved with the ribbon cutting. That's your job.
how many members do you have on your committee?
Currently 7.
Okay,
Any questions on these requests? Okay.
No, I
Um,
don't
so-
have any.
So we'll
I-
move on to Historical Society.
John, I think you have a great committee and that you guys are very, very productive and very thorough in the work that you do, and I appreciate it because I know it's all volunteer and it takes lots of time.
Appreciate it, but as I say, I concur is that but the town has a tremendous amount of volunteers in that program and just get it done. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The amount of work that we get done in an hour.
Or less.
And the skill and the knowledge that is brought to the table is amazing.
Yeah, it is. Well, like I say, it's a good mixture of people that are on that committee.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
They all have their expertise and that's what's making it work.
Exactly.
I just do the paperwork, that's all.
So the second line item that John is in charge of making a request for is the Historical Society. In the past, oh gosh, probably the past,
Well,
how many years has it been?
well.
Well, the past 3 years.
We had an increase in 2000
So fiscal year
2020.
20, we had a increase to 5,000.
from $3,000.
And John is coming with a request for the Historical Society grant, which helps offset some of the costs to keep that Ellen Larner Museum in
Going-
good condition,
That in addition to the old town hall,
right, in the old town hall. So he's asking for 6,000. Thompson Historical Society expenses for 2022, he has an exhibit, which I'll send to you and Ken. Susanna, and Ken, I'll
Okay.
send it to you both, is a total of $18,901.15. Between oil and Eversource, it was about 4,400. Then there's insurance, building maintenance. There's all tree service.
the insurance is a big hit, as I'm showing Amy here, this piece, it's $5,400 just for insurance of those buildings. The large number for tree service was 4,300, and that was the large pines that were overhanging the old town hall. And you could still go by there today and look up on the roof, and we just haven't got to take the pine needles off that's been accumulating up there. But it's helpful in 2 ways. In addition, waiting for one of those trees, because it was split already, one of the large limbs, and it was just heading for that roof. So we were trying to avoid that. The other thing, it opens up that air, that side of the building to air circulation. We're trying to get monies to scrape and paint that building again. It hasn't been done in 20 years. And we're estimating $10,000 just for that one bill.
Right.
So this extra $5,000 is gonna help us a lot, just to maintain the building. So as you can see, even without cutting the trees, say if we didn't have to cut the trees, it was still a $15,000 hit. Not a hit, but that's what it costs us to run that place. And I'll tell you, if you happen to go by the Ellen Larner Museum on Sunday, you'll see cars parked there, and you'll see cars parked at the Bates Avenue. There's a lot of activity over there on Sundays now. People are researching stuff. People are volunteering time to get information into the web. It's very encouraging over the last few years that I've been involved with that. People are just want to preserve the history of Thompson.
That's wonderful.
Any questions for John on the Historical Society request? And like I said, I'll send you his sheet that he has here for the Historical Society expenses so that you both can look over them. I'm just seeing it now too, so. Any
Thank you.
questions for John? How about from citizen comments?
If I might ask, we have a variety of recording secretaries. Is there some sort of overall system or paid? Does everybody get paid the same? Does it vary? Just curious, just to be fair with everybody. I don't know what's right or wrong. I'm just kind of curious as to how it's done.
I think it's always been department or board by board, commission by commission, depending on the amount of work that each.
I think, Steve, is the amount of work, exactly what Amy's just saying, involved in each committee or commission. As you know, I've been on P&Z, and that secretary gets $325 a meeting for that. But there again, I'm not presenting the P&Z, but if I was, I'd up that, as you know, the amount of work that's been going on in P&Z, where previously the transcripts used to be 3 pages maximum. Now it's 15 pages because everybody wants whatever.
Well, I think the difference with planning and zoning, Steve, planning and zoning runs 3, sometimes 4 hours for just the meeting. Versus maybe building committee is 1 hour.
Well, I try to keep it an hour, but
Yeah,
I
Don't
assume.
get me wrong. I don't begrudge the amount at all. I'm just
Right.
trying to ask if it's done in a consistent manner across the town. That's sort of, I guess, my question.
right. I think we've gone back and forth with considering how do we make it more not streamlined, but equitable.
Yeah,
And
fair.
It's very, very difficult. Board of Finance during budget season has multiple meetings a month. So it's as much as we want to make it more equitable or equal, it's difficult. And we attempted, but in the end, we left it up to the department or the board chairs.
Okay. And then on the Historical Society, it sounds like the actual cost of maintaining these buildings is far in excess of the $6,000. The remaining cost is covered by donations, I'm assuming?
Yes, donations and dues. We send out a newsletter and you can join the association. There'll be one in the mail to you tomorrow.
I think one already comes to my home, so.
What are the dues for the Historical Society?
I don't know. I'm
okay.
paid up. Years ago, you can buy a paid up membership, and that's what I did.
Okay.
I forget how much it is. I don't recall.
And you also raise money from merchandising.
That's it.
As well.
What was that?
Merchandising.
Yes, the biggest one is, of course, at Christmas time. I wish I had the number, but I couldn't get a hold of Jenny Flood to find out, or Sue to find out what their monies was this year for that. But I was there this year several times, and it seemed like it's not much. I think last year they probably made about $8,000 on that, but it didn't look. I don't think we got a committee meeting in next week for the historical, not a committee meeting, it's the board of directors. I gotta see the terms, all these terms.
But it just sounds like it's very fortunate that we have so much dollars in donations, but
yeah.
And I don't begrudge this at all. Just I'm sort of more on the other side. Is this enough? It doesn't sound like it's a very small share of what the costs are to maintain those 2 buildings.
Yeah. Not only that, but I think, what you may or may not know, but Joe Martino, president, is going out for a grant. We have 2 museums that the Historical Society is responsible for up at the Turlock building. We maintain those 2 buildings. We acquired another room on that 3rd floor that they can't occupy just for storage. And I had a company come in from Rhode Island to paint and clean that area up because the ceiling had been falling. And, you know, that's gonna be another couple $1,000 bill to get that room cleaned up. So, and what our intention is to, you know, to have that, that, and Joe has gone after, some grants to utilize that Ruscavich Auditorium more. The way, because we haven't been able to do it because it's not handicap accessible. But Joe and Martino through historical is going out for grant money to see if we can make that handicap accessible. And the plan of the board of directors is to have that building, there's 3 rooms that we have up there in addition to the, you know, the Turlock Museum that's been there since 1904 or something, utilized more during the year. We're anticipating at least 4 or 5 times a year, we'll open up all of those rooms to the community. So it's getting pretty active. I'm really encouraged about the amount of people that are coming up on Sunday to volunteer to do things, rather than probably the 3 of us that used to be there.
All right. Any other questions? Citizen
Not for me.
comment.
Thank you very much for the response.
Tira, just raised her hand.
Yeah, just to give you a little more information about that, the grant and what it is for. It is through CT Humanities, and it would be for AV equipment and to upgrade the handicap lift. I think Joe probably recently did a presentation for the Board of Selectmen. I sat in on the informational meeting with CT Humanities because I've got a good contact there in Scott Wands. And although obviously nobody can say with certainty what any grant is, I would say there's an extremely high probability of award on that grant, partly because we get less representation in the northeast corner than other parts of the state do in grant applications, and also because of past work that both the Historical Society and my office have done. So just in terms of doing a lot with a little, I think the Historical Society really deserves great credit as well.
Agreed. Any other comments, questions at this time? Open to both selectmen and citizens. All right. Thank you, John.
Welcome.
You're good. You're free.
Not free, but it don't cost much, right?
Thank you, John.
Okay, so. Pretty sure. I haven't seen it for a long time.
All right. So the next agenda item is NECOG, and John Filczek has not entered the waiting room yet. So I'm just going to put a pause on the recording while we await his arrival. He was scheduled for, well, I had scheduled him in for 4 o'clock and he's just not in yet. Hi, John.
Hello,
Thanks for zooming in with us.
how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not bad.
So I had just had up on the screen the assessments that you sent over to me just a little while ago. Did you want me to share that, or do you have something
Sure.
else you'd like to share?
That's fine.
Okay.
I had the same one, but that's okay.
Well, yours might be a better copy if you want to share it.
Yeah, I've got your stuff highlighted, so.
Okay, great. Yeah, yours will be better then. And just to let you know, both Ken and Suzanne, Ken Bosley and Suzanne Witkowski, my fellow selectmen, are here, as well as our finance director and a couple members of the public.
Okay, cool.
So what do you got for us, John?
What do I got for you?
Yeah,
Well, let me tell you a few things. Is it showing up anymore?
No, we had it up and then we lost it. It went away.
Is
It was
it?
up on the screen and then it disappeared.
You think I'd be good at this point in my life, but not really.
There you go.
There we go. I was going to just mention a couple of things before I give you the numbers, just a few things we're doing that I think are relatively new. We were one of 6 councils of governments that got awarded in our case, a $400,000 grant to work on COVID recovery from an economic perspective. And we're fully engaged in that piece of it, which the centerpiece is the update of our comprehensive economic development strategy, which has been the main focus so far. And so that's moving forward, and you'll hear more and more about that. We just got awarded a $160,000 grant on road for safe streets and roads through the Infrastructure Act. And that just got awarded last week. So I haven't heard a lot of details on it, but that is something that we've had quite a few accidents in the region over the last year. And so we're happy to see that. And we should be having a meeting with the COG board soon with the with Deep and hopefully the Commissioner Dykes to talk about what we've been promoting for a while, what we call an environmental depot, a one-stop spot for most notably household hazardous waste, so that residents from the region, instead of you doing a once every year or once every 2-year program, they could go there hopefully 4 or 5 days a week, including Saturdays, and just go when they need to go, rather than when we happen to do a town event. So we have those 3 things. We've got our long-range transportation plan, which hopefully Jim Larkin from our office has talked to you. We're trying to populate that with town projects now, and to get that in the plan so that we can make funding easier. And we are in the midst of doing a new natural hazard mitigation plan. Unfortunately, our former one lapsed during COVID. And so that's something that is needed for funding from FEMA. As far as our assessments go for this year, and Thompson, with the exception of what changes might have occurred because of population change, there's no change in the assessment for NECOG for our basic assessment. There's no change for the transit services, the paramedic services, unless we get a change from KB or we go out to bid. There should be no change in that. And that's what I've got as far as assessments go, unless you want to buy something else.
John, this is something I never noticed in the past, over the past few years. What is the Day Kimball Hospital subsidy with regard to the paramedic services?
So the fee now is $107, our contract with that we pay to KB ambulance for transport. So with the KB, with the Day Kimball subsidy, that knocks it down to $70.30. So $37 and change, something like that.
So Thompson received, because last year we appropriated 16,000 for the paramedic services.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make sure we're still falling under that Day Kimball Hospital subsidy, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we had a little bit of issue with that, that they stopped paying the subsidy for a while.
Okay.
And had a discussion with Kyle Kramer, and he was unaware that someone had done that, and he assured me that they're committed to that,
Okay.
to continuing that. Now the change is always possible that if KB for whatever reason stop doing it, or or the decision was made that we go out to bid or something, that could change. I mean, this number is significantly below what it was before KB took over. I think it was $132 before the subsidy instead of the 107, which is up from $95 where we were originally with KB. But you probably know American Ambulance has been bought by Hartford Healthcare. So that really now leaves KB in Eastern Connecticut as, I think they may well be the only independent one, at least in the, for sure in the Northeast. I think L&M has services to the south of us, but there's not a lot of different services available out there anymore.
So, but these prices for the paramedic services are negotiated through fiscal year 24 with KB?
Oh, KB, we're waiting on them to
Oh, okay.
confirm that they're, last year they went up. They called me, I think it was on June 25th, just before we had a COG meeting, and told me they were going to go up in the price, and their price was $105.
Okay,
And they went up $2. So
okay. So that could happen
that-
still.
that could, and I'm going to try to pin them down on that, because we need that, soon, much sooner than later.
Right, okay.
But I would not anticipate that changing radically if it does. And I'm confident with the Day Kimball subsidy. And since most of yours are going to be related to Day Kimball,
Mhm.
say unlike Plainfield, which has a good amount that end up at Bacchus, and when that's the case, they're paying in their case, they're paying the full 107.
Right. Any questions for John, Suzanne, or Ken?
No, I don't see anything that I have a question about.
You're gonna be, John, are you gonna be talking about the transit district separately from this?
The transit's in this.
Okay, how's the ridership and stuff
Ridership,
fluctuated?
the ridership with the regular services started to rebound. It's still about 1,000 rides a month, or excuse me, a month, no, a week below where it was pre-pandemic.
Mhm.
It went down at one point it was down 87% at the height of the pandemic, where we were still we never stopped operating. The one service that has not rebounded is the elderly disabled, for two reasons, I think. One is that population, because of the pandemic, has been reluctant to get into a closed bus with a driver and maybe other passengers. They've been able to find alternatives so that, CVS and other pharmacies deliver, food stores deliver. They found relatives to take them to places. So that's a big issue. And then the other issue we have, and I think you probably have it with school buses, is we used to run that 5 days a week with 3 drivers. We now run it 3 days a week with 1 driver.
Mm.
Finding drivers has been, we've upped the pay. We've tried, at one point we raised it $5 per hour, and did not receive an applicant for 6 weeks after that. So finding people is really, I went out 4 times to get advertising for a planner before I got 1 applicant. I mean, I don't know where everybody went after the pandemic, but they're not
And
for jobs.
how's the bus fleet now that we're using?
Say that again, please.
How is the fleet? Because we had gotten new buses a couple of years back. How are we doing with that?
Well, we have 5 buses that we're about to order, but we've been told because of the backlog on fabrication of those buses and issues still with some of the parts that it will be 2+ years before a new bus will arrive. We have just recently arranged a deal with Greater New Haven Transit, where they're going to give us a van with only 29,000 miles on it to be used for our elderly disabled run. So that'll help us out.
Any other questions for John? Citizen comments? Citizen questions? Floor is open. Looks like that's it, John.
Nice and easy.
Yeah,
You know, if you end up having any questions, you know where to find me.
all right.
Thanks, John.
And we have our next meeting, which in February, which maybe I'll talk to you. Were you at the meeting last time, Amy?
I usually Zoom into the meetings.
It was lively, unfortunately.
Yeah,
And so anyways, so thank you all, and hopefully it goes nice and smooth for you today.
all right. Thank you so much, John.
Take care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
have a great evening.
Bye.
All right, the next item on the agenda, or the next agency to present, is Access Agency, and Kathleen Kreider is in the Zoom audience. Hi, Kathleen, how are you?
Hey, everybody, I'm doing great. Hi, Amy. It's good to see you again.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to share your screen, if you had something to share with the selectmen, feel free.
Okay. Yeah, so I will start before I share screen. I've been thinking about this prior to this meeting. So just as a little background, we send a town allocation letter to every town in our 28 town region. And in every letter, I offer to come to you, however it is you want me to come to you, and to talk about the partnership between your town and Access Community Action Agency, to review your town data, which I will share screen so you can see that. And you guys are the only people who ever ask me to do this. And I just wanted to thank you for that, because it's not an idle offer, right? This is really sincere. We take our partnership seriously. And it's also a really important opportunity for me, I think, to also give a shout out to your other partners. So quite honestly, we can't do the work that we do without Teague, right? So we're all part of the Eastern Coordinated Access Network to address issues of homelessness in our region. And Teague is a major player in that. How we collaborate with food pantries, Teagues as well as Accesses, right? Like this is all, we are the Northeast corner, and working together to get this done is really important to us. So again, just a big thank you, Amy, and to all of the select persons in the town, and to the Thompson citizens who are here. Thank you for caring and for asking me to show up. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for the time, taking the time to come and talk to us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my two fellow selectmen are Suzanne Witkowski and Ken Beausoleil. We also have a couple members of the public, our Director of Planning and Development, and our Finance Director, just to let you know who's in the audience right now with you.
Well, thank you so much. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So when we send your town allocation request, we also send, let's see here, can I figure out how to move my screen? Here we go. All right, we also send this document. This document is a snapshot of the services, the largest services that we provide to the town of Thompson. I'm emphasizing the word largest because there is a lot of there are a lot of other ways in which we are also supporting. I mean, so I spoke about the CAN, right? The Eastern Coordinated Access Network, which is the state of Connecticut's 211 United Way relationship around assisting those who are experiencing homelessness in our region. And that is not necessarily in this. You can see crisis intervention, emergency services, landlord tenant mediation, and case management. But for example, what we don't have in that number is the number of homeless individuals that we may be working with in a variety of different services. So this is a snapshot, and it's a high level snapshot. And as you can see, I'll scroll down a little bit more here. So, and I believe, Amy, your office has this, and if not, please let me know. We can get it back to you.
Yeah, but you know what, Kathleen, I'm just, what Marie sent or gave to me and sent to the selectmen doesn't match up what you have.
So can you tell me at the bottom of your piece of paper, can you look at the allocation years? Do you have a 22? What is the high? What is the
I
most?
have 22, 23.
So I do not. That's why it does not match up. So actually, this is pretty cool. Because let me ask you this. If you go down to the total households served on the document that Marie gave you, what is that number?
It's 429, and it looks like it's largely driven by the heat assistance, because heat assistance is now at 381,057.
Well, I had wanted to provide a bit of an arc of services over time, so this worked out perfectly that I have the wrong document and you have the right document, because between the two of us, we can do a couple of years worth of comparison here.
Right.
So 323 up to 400 plus households served in the town of Thompson. That's an awful lot of individuals in your community. We also like to include the total dollars and for these programs, so that you can see right there that the total dollars spent predominantly in the Women, Infants, and Children program and Access Food Pantries, that $1,800 last year. And Amy, what is it this year in that category?
For which one?
Resources that increase food security, nutrition, and assistance.
Okay, so that one went down. It's 13,098.
Great. And we certainly hope that the reason something goes down is because people are more secure. It could also be if you compared TEAGs year to year, like it may be that TEAG has picked up a little bit more.
Okay.
Hard to say,
Right.
but I think it's significant. A $5,000 drop, while that's an important drop, it's still suggests a strong level of need.
Right.
And then the heat assistance, so right, 174,000. And what do you have this year again?
354.
Yeah, so that's an enormous
Oh, I'm sorry. The dollar spent was 381,000.
an enormous increase in the number of people who are seeking heat assistance services. And I can tell you today, we did a little bit of a dive into our numbers overall, Access Community Action Aid. So let me clarify that TEAG, again, the amazing TEAG is a subcontractor to our energy assistance program. So individuals in the town of Thompson can, so my understanding is that TEAG subcontracts for people over the age of potentially 65, it could be 62, but I also know that they will see Thompson individuals who have transportation issues, childcare issues. Like if the only way you can get your energy assistance application in is by going to TEAG as opposed to coming all the way into Willimantic or Danielson, TEAG will assist you. So that is a true partnership. And so what happens is the applications from your individuals come in through TEAG or through our Danielson office, and then we do all the certifying of those applications, and we also do all of the we pay the vendors. Essentially the vendor tickets come to us.
Okay.
So that's how that partnership works. We today, Access has seen 8,000 energy intake applications in the 28 town region. It's an enormous, it's the largest number of energy assistance that we've ever seen in a single year in our history. So all of this relates down to the very last column and row, last row on the sheet, and that is the request for allocation, right? So that $1,000 request is simply what we are asking Thompson to commit to in partnering with us to provide services. And that, what that essentially pays for is the work that needs to get done. All the dollars that you're seeing right here are dollars that are coming to access through federal government state pass through. And so that $1,000 is what we use to get the work done.
Do you, Kathleen, do you still have the no free shelter
Yes,
operating?
absolutely.
Thankfully, it's been a mild winter, but it must have been rough the other night.
It was rough the other night. And you know, yes, thankfully it's been a mild winter, and the ability to get inside, you know, so it's 40 degrees during the day, but it's 22 at night, and just the ability to be inside for that period of time, for this no free period of time, goes a really long way in terms of people's social determinants of health, right? They're not deteriorating in other ways. It also helps us and Miller to keep eyes on people. We do a lot of case management through our cold weather overnight shelter, and there's a lot of connectivity between all of the diversion people in the northeast corner through the cold weather. So we have been really grateful to be able to keep that open. People have been very generous in terms of their donations to help us pay for that. We staff that in the overnight with Access professional staff, and then we sort of what do you say, like the shoulder hours, so the 8 o'clock to about 11 o'clock, and then in the early morning with volunteerism. So really grateful for area volunteers who are coming in, but the overnight staff is Access's professional shelter staff.
Right. And what are the hours that it's open?
It's open 8 to 8.
8 to 8, okay.
And we'll keep it open into the month of March, and how long we're able to keep it open in March is funding dependent. So
Right.
from year to year, we never publicize an exact date, because if we've gotten a diversification of funding from a town, let's say some towns have say, well, here's your allocation, and we're going to give you another $1,000 that we specifically want going to the cold weather overnight shelter. So towns can increase and diversify their allocation by delineating extra dollars towards the cold weather. And then that would keep us open longer, potentially pay for some more services, that kind of thing.
Do you receive any funds federally or from the state for the no free shelter, or no? Okay.
No.
I didn't think so.
I suppose maybe I should qualify that by saying because we use Access professional staff for the overnight, there is some use of our funding where staffing is concerned. And they are employees of the emergency shelter, and that's how that looks. But otherwise, how we meet our obligations to St. Albans, how we provide sleeping bags, cots, blankets, you know, all of the other things that are in the shelter is funded entirely through either towns who are allocating extra funds to the shelter, or private donation.
Okay. Suzanne, Ken, any questions for Kathleen?
I thought the previous last couple of budget cycles, we had designated money for the homeless shelters.
We did money for the, we didn't last year. The previous year we did. We had $1,000 for the shelter.
We didn't
It
do
might have been the
last year?
previous 2 years. Prior to last budget. It wasn't in the budget last year.
It was not?
No,
Oh, all right.
but it was, I'm pretty sure it was the previous 2 years though. Any questions from the public? Questions or comments from the citizens that are in the audience right now?
I'd love to answer questions. I really appreciate that you guys are here.
Well, it sounds like nobody has any questions.
Well, if you think of them, just like John Filchak said, you know where to find me. We want to make sure that your commitment to us is that we are good stewards of your commitment. So please don't hesitate.
All right. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thanks for taking
Thank
the time
you.
to come and see us.
Have a great night.
You too.
You too.
Bye-bye. I'm gonna get out of here. All right.
All right. So, everyone, with that, our next agency is Northeast Probate Court. Gabby Labonte, the new probate judge, is supposed to meet me here at Town Hall. She is not here yet. So as usual, I'm going to pause the recording and I'll resume it once she gets here. Okay, everybody, I am here with Gabby Labonte, our judge of probate. I'm going to share the screen with the budget that she sent over to me. And then I'm going to let her speak. Suzanne was driving home and she said not to wait for her because she would jump in on the recording afterwards. So at this time, I'm just going to turn it over to Gabby. Right now, we do have Ken Bosley. He's a fellow selectman.
Okay.
Suzanne Witkowski will be joining us. We have some members of the public. Our finance director, Bill Steglitz, and our director of planning and development is still here in the audience as well. So yeah, so you can take it away.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm Gabby Labonte. I am the probate judge in the district. And so our court is on Hospital Hill in Putnam. And it's in a building that it's a private building. So we pay the expenses associated with it. What people probably aren't aware of is that there's actually two courts there. There's the Northeast Probate District Court. We kind of call it the adult court.
Mhm.
And then there's the children's court. So the children's court is completely funded by probate court administration. And then we have the municipal budget. So when I'm giving you expenses for what the court is, those are actually 2/3 of the expenses for our side of the building. And so the big unknown, what I don't know is what the lease is going to be. We're in the midst of a 5-year lease. They re-up every year for August 1st, and this lease is up the end of July in 2024.
Oh, okay.
The big unknown is that, and I have a copy of the lease if you want a copy of it and to share it or what have you. What our rent payment is based on inflation. So,
Okay.
yeah, so that's the big unknown. And actually for a lot of those expenses that are on my budget, we're actually right now in this fiscal year, we're paying more for a lot of those items than we're budgeted for this year.
Okay.
For instance, we've, what's not on the budget also, which I found since taking office and now that I'm starting to pay some of the bills, what's not in the budget, and apparently has never been budgeted, is we pay for garbage.
Okay.
And that our portion of it is $114.73, which is, as of right now, $1,376 a month. We also pay for cleaning.
Okay.
Our 2/3 portion is that monthly. So for another $2,000. I have this is what we're paying right now. Our portion, the whole lease on our portion of the building, the court portion, is a little over $4,000.
Okay.
So what we're paying right now is $2,692 a month
For the rent portion.
for the rent portion, which right now is if 32,000 and change, which is more than what was budgeted for this fiscal year.
Okay.
So as much as I didn't want to do 10%, I think that's going to be a decent cushion.
Okay.
And I can tell you a lot of those expenses are even over, as I said, unfortunately, what's budgeted for now.
So did you add in the Casella for the trash disposal and the cleaning services? Did you add that into your budget?
I did
or-
not because
Okay.
I'm going to have some money left over for this fiscal year.
Okay.
I think the postage is going to be a little generous.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm going to need all of that. Because we have to use a portal. So all the people that file, the attorneys that file, they're required to use a portal. And when we issue decrees or court documents, that kind of stuff, they're required to be on the portal.
Okay.
But my predecessor still mailed everything to the lawyers,
Okay.
and I'm not doing that
Okay.
because they're required to use the portal. We're gonna do, we're gonna use that. So that's kind of where we are. As I said, my biggest expense, and it makes me nervous not knowing what the rent is gonna be for August.
Right. So scrolling down,
Yep.
the one thing that I'm just curious about is the 10,100
Yeah.
population for Thompson. Was that pulled just from prior
That was
years?
just pulled from
Because-
the last year.
Yeah,
Yep.
because I think we're a lot lower than that.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I just used the numbers from the last one.
right,
So whatever it happens to be per capita, it's about $1.20 or $1.21 per capita. But yeah, those are just based on the numbers from the last one.
right, because I think we're at around 9,000, less than 9,300.
Okay,
We-
And that what I
We've
was-
always been less than Putnam.
What's that, Ken?
Population wise, we've always been less than Putnam on the average.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know for a while we were around 9,300. And according to NECOG, we were at 9,226.
Okay, that's all my mistake. I used the budgeted amount instead of yeah. That's my fault. I used
Okay.
what was budgeted instead of, yeah.
Okay,
So yeah,
so
that's my typo.
if we stay consistent with NECOG, we'd be at 9,226.
And I believe it's $1.21 per capita
Okay,
is what it would be.
all
Yep.
right. So maybe you can send me a
A
revised.
revised
sheet.
a riser for the population, yeah. Thank you for catching that.
Suzanne, I know you just jumped in. Do you have any questions for Gabby? Well, I thought she was in. Maybe she's still getting situated, I think. Still has her coat on.
In her hand.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm waiting for the kitchen to warm up. I just turned the heat up.
Yep.
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Gabby was saying she's a little uncertain where the rent's gonna go. So she did take this year's number, and correct me if I'm wrong, added about 10%. She
Yeah.
thinks the rent's gonna be increased because it's inflationary based on the rental agreement for the building.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I put a flat percentage, 10% across the board. Because,
But your rent's not it's not gonna affect this budget. It'll be the following budget.
yes,
The following year, correct?
absolutely, yeah.
So these numbers for the rent should be concrete for this year.
Yeah, this is for the next
Next
fiscal
For the
year.
next fiscal year.
Yeah, through 24. You said August of 24 is when your rent increase is going.
No,
Did you mean
That's what
August
you said.
23?
no, what happened, the lease is up August of 24, but the rent resets every August 1st.
Okay, did you hear that?
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it now, yeah.
So there'll be another rental adjustment for August of this year, and the landlord already said that it's gonna be 7 or 8%
Okay,
right now. I don't know how much pushback we have. The lease is between Barney as mayor of Putnam
mhm,
and the landlord.
okay,
So it's weird when I've needed like work orders on stuff in the building. I have to have probate court administration call Barney, and Barney issues the work order.
okay.
So when I write my rental check, it gets sent to the town hall, and it's town of Putnam is what we do. But yeah,
So
every
that's interesting. Who signs the lease?
Barney and the landlord. Yep.
Interesting.
So I'm the tenant, but I'm not a party to it.
Maybe it's a matter of getting in touch with Mayor Sinay.
Mhm.
So. Any questions from our citizens that are here in the audience? All right. I think that's it.
All right, I'll get you the updated numbers.
All right.
Go from there.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, Gabby.
Thank you for letting.
Thanks,
Thank
Gab.
you.
Thank
Nice to
you.
see
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Have a nice night.
Yeah, you too. I'm gonna go get pizza.
All right. Sorry about that.
All right, next on our agenda is going to be Day Kimball Homemakers. They are zooming in. So I'll just pause the recording as I've been doing and resume the recording when Jennifer Leduc, who's presenting, enters the meeting room. Hey, Jen, can you hear me? Jen? Okay. Okay, so Jen just said in the chat, I have to call in for audio. So she's going to be dialing in. So we'll give it a few more seconds. And I'll just keep the recording running. Hey, Jen, can you hear me now?
Oh, yep, I can. Hold on, let me just mute this. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm so sorry about that.
No worries. Thanks for joining us tonight. So if everybody's aware, Jen Leduc is part of Day Kimball Homemakers. Jen, tonight we have both, we have my fellow selectmen, Ken Beausoleil and Suzanne Witkowski. We have our finance director, our director of planning and development is in the meeting, and some members of the public. And you're here to share what Day Kimball Homemakers is doing in Thompson, and happy to allow you to share a screen if you have something to share with us tonight.
Yeah, I do. Thank you very much for inviting me. Let me just pull up my presentation here. Can you see that? Can you see my PDF?
I can. Can you make it the full screen so it'll be a little bit easier to see? There we go.
That.
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay. Okay. So thank you again, everybody, for inviting me and letting me have this opportunity. My name is Jennifer Leduc. I am the Director of Quality and Operations for Day Kimball Healthcare at Home. We are actually comprised of Day Kimball Home Care, Day Kimball Homemakers, and Hospice and Palliative Care of Northeastern Connecticut. So last year, the town of Thompson was very generous and did grant us $2,000 to participate in, any fund, any type of service that we're providing to the town of Thompson above and beyond the skilled services that we do provide. So what I did was I just prepared a short little synopsis of what we did in the town of Thompson this past year. We had a lot of activity in Thompson. We did a lot of visits. So you can see here on this little chart, we did a little over 1,500 nursing visits, 727 home health aide visits, a little over 1,200 physical therapy visits, almost 500 occupational therapy visits, 75 social work visits, and 15 speech therapy visits. So in total, for the town of Thompson, we provided over 4,000 visits for your citizens. In addition, we provided hospice service to many patients. So here are all the rundown of the hospice visits, totaling about a little over 500 visits. Unfortunately, those visits aren't always paid for by insurance. Insurance plans these days are not always very robust and often have very strict limitations on what they will and won't cover for home care patients and families. So we do provide services regardless of pay source. Granted, we can't always give all of the service that we want to give, but we do provide a lot of free care to residents within your town. Last year, we provided over 80 visits that were free care. A good portion of those were social work visits. For whatever reason, when you are receiving home health services and your insurance is Medicaid, Medicaid does not cover the cost of a medical social worker. And unfortunately, those are the people who most often need the medical social worker the most. So a good chunk of our free care, it goes to that purpose. And what that medical social worker does is really try to network that patient and their family into various support services, things like Meals on Wheels, connecting with Teague quite a bit, rides, transportation. So really trying to enable residents to be able to live in their home safely and not have to end up in a nursing home or a hospital even. So in total, when we add up those visits, it amounted to about $5,600 in free care that we provided in visits. In addition to the free visits, we also do our homebound vaccination program. We are the area's designated provider for homebound vaccinations. And over this past year, we provided 8 influenza vaccines and 26 COVID-19 vaccines to homebound residents in the town of Thompson. And those are residents that maybe wouldn't necessarily qualify for skilled home care. So it's above and beyond. And we do work with the state and the Northeast District of Health on coordinating those vaccines. So for this year, I'm going to request $2,000, which really, isn't, in my opinion, it doesn't cover the cost of the free care that we provide, but every little bit helps. And I know that every town is struggling with their budgets on any given year, especially this past year with all the inflation. It's been very challenging. We provide services 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And in addition to doing our skilled services for our home health and our hospice programs, we do also do things through through our homemakers. We have a falls prevention program where we will do clinics. We will go to individual patient homes to assess their fall risk and prevent them, hopefully, from falling and ending up in a nursing home, giving them strategies and making recommendations to keep them safe. We do family training for caregivers of Alzheimer's and dementia patients. And these are things we aren't reimbursed for. We're just really trying to improve the health and the wellness of our community. And then our hospice program is a very robust program on its own. We also do a lot of community events for our hospice program. We have the Tree of Life ceremonies. We do the annual memorial garden planting. With the pandemic, we've done a lot of Zoom sessions for bereavement support. We have a bereavement walking program. And all those things we do in collaboration with our hospice program, but also above and beyond, even patients who are in need of hospice bereavement service who may not necessarily have been part of our hospice program. We don't exclude anybody. So again, anything that we can get from the town of Thompson is really beneficial. It goes a long way. Our liaison is out there doing blood pressure clinics and is always available to help out. I know you have a lot of senior events and activities, and we're always willing to come out to those and do some blood pressure checks, do some fall prevention education, do education on end-of-life care and palliative care. Anytime you are interested in that, we'll come out and do that for you. So again, I really appreciate it, this opportunity, and if you have any questions, I'll do my best to try to answer them for you.
So Jen, my only question, which I actually just quickly sent a text to our finance director. I thought we had only allocated 1,000.
Oh,
Yeah, it was only 1,000 last year that was
okay. All right, that may,
allocated, but
I
we're
can't
we're certainly willing to consider the 2,000. So,
okay, well, I will take whatever I can get. I mean, every little bit helps. I, you know, when I'm going, I am not a finance person. So I am definitely, it's very possible I messed something up on my very unfinanced background spreadsheet that I develop of my own. So
no worries, no worries. I just wanted to make sure that I was accurate. So, any questions from the Board of Selectmen?
I do not have any questions for you.
I don't have any either.
Okay. I mean, I know that the homemakers and especially the hospice and palliative care, it's crucial to our residents. So I thank you. I mean, I think last year was the first year, if I recall, for Daycombe homemakers reaching out to the town, and totally can understand the needs that you have.
I was surprised myself when I learned that we hadn't reached out before. And I really do think that these days, as the larger community of the Quiet Corner here, we all have to work together. Our resources are so slim, and you know, just working together and any little bit that we can help each other out is, you know, I think so necessary these days.
Absolutely.
It's good to see the numbers of what your visits are.
Yeah, I try to do that because I want you to have an understanding, and I just think, you know, in full transparency, we want to know what we're dealing with.
Any questions
you.
from citizens that are in the audience?
I'd just like to say for Jen that I want to thank her and everybody at Day Kimball for all they do for people in the area.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
so
Jen,
much.
that was one of our citizens, Mr. Bill Warner.
Well, thank you, Mr. Warner.
All right. If there are no other questions, I think we can wrap this up for now. Thank you, Jen, for taking the time out of your evening to come and share with the selectmen this request.
Thank you all again, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank
as
you very
well.
much, Jen. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
All right. And once again, we are going to pause. I don't believe, in fact, I know our next presenter is going to be Wayne Bugden. He is from Eastern Connecticut Land Bank. And then following that, we have TVCCA and Northeast District Department of Health. So once again, I'm going to pause the recording as we wait for those individuals to come into the meeting.
Okay.
Wayne, do you need me to share? I think that, well, my selectmen received the letter that you had sent. I don't know if there was something you wanted to screen share or if you wanted to just discuss the letter.
Yeah, I don't need to share anything. I won't be seeing it anyway, apparently. But if you've got it there, I think it was fairly brief. I would like just a couple of minutes to just update you on where we are as an organization, what our goals are for the year, and you know, and to thank you for offering to listen to me, give me an opportunity to speak to you tonight. Maybe 5 minutes.
Thanks for being here. Absolutely. You have 30 minutes.
All right. Very good. It won't take that long. So again, thank you for allowing me to come in and talk, and thanks for your patience with my technical difficulties. So just to recap, I think you know who we are, what Eastern Connecticut Land Bank is, and that we exist to help communities in our region address the most difficult problem properties. So, think 630 Riverside Drive, former Belding Corticelli Mill, but there's other ones around in the area that I'm sure you're familiar with. These are properties that are, they need a little bit of an extra boost. They're not properties that are easy to develop or reuse. They may have contamination. They may have other hurdles to get over. So our mission is to partner with municipalities in Eastern Connecticut, to return distressed, underutilized, and blighted brownfield properties and historic properties to productive uses. And we do that. We want to be consistent with the town's wishes, with the local plans of conservation and development, and any other types of planning. So what our vision is that we will be a robust and sustainable force for revitalization of the towns and cities of Eastern Connecticut. We want to increase tax bases and employment. We want to decrease environmental and ecological and health risks, and contribute to stable and vibrant and healthy communities. So we have a pretty broad vision for ourselves. We are a community-based nonprofit volunteer organization. We were created by a bunch of like-minded people that wanted to see real change in properties that had languished for so long in our region. And we created ourselves right before the pandemic, so our timing was not that great, but who could have known? But throughout the pandemic and beyond, now we've persevered, and now we have real momentum on a number of fronts. We are all volunteers, though we intend to add paid staff within a year, and I'll tell you a little bit about the staff goals in a minute. I want to mention just a couple of the ongoing projects and initiatives that we've been working on, and explain why it's the perfect time for our organization. It's perfect for us to grow and help towns of Eastern Connecticut. And I'll talk a little bit about that. Just a couple of our ongoing projects and efforts. We have secured a brownfield grant for the town of Plainfield to do environmental assessment on the former command mill sites and the surrounding areas in Moosup. We've assisted the town of Stonington on 2 brownfield sites, one in Pawcatuck and one in Mystic. One is a assessment grant and one is a cleanup grant. We've been helping out relatively informally with several other towns, the towns of East Windsor, Summers, and Montville, and Thompson. And this is basically just people that are on the board doing what we've been doing all along, which is trying to help Thompson find a solution for the 630 Riverside Drive property. And we intend to continue to do that. We get contacted by a lot of other towns from time to time, asking to see what we can do. One of the things they commonly ask is, can we take a property, which is ultimately what we have in our that's it, the tool that's in our toolbox. We can acquire properties, clean them up using grant funding, and put them back on the tax rolls, put them back into productive use. The challenge with that, obviously, is that no matter who you are, if you're going to take a property like this, you need to do your due diligence. It takes time and money to do that, and it's not an easy process to go through the acquisition. And that's sometimes before you even get out of the starting gate to do the actual cleanup of a property. So it's a challenge for us. We are in many ways hamstrung by lack of funding, but we are doing whatever we can right now as a group of volunteers that are passionate about what we do. And we've been able to secure more volunteers and some pro bono services for legal fees and some professional work, even IT work. But to really make the difference that we know we can, we need to be able to hire and pay staff and to retain on-call attorneys and professional engineers and planners quickly to respond to requests for help from our municipal partners. And, oftentimes there's opportunities that arise. Even when these properties are languishing for a long time, a developer might come along and they may be the perfect perfect partner, perfect private partner to work with to ultimately acquire and redevelop a property. But they all have questions, and sometimes answering those questions takes a lot of effort. Those are the things that we would like to step in and help them do, answer those questions so that we can move these properties forward. So we are hamstrung by the lack of funding. We want to hire staff, and we want to hire, and we can't rely forever on the goodwill and generosity of some of our volunteers, including attorneys who've been very generous, but we can't rely on them to do some of the real heavy lifting that we know is coming. So the good news is we are in the perfect time to be growing our land bank, because the level of funding for brownfields in Connecticut and across the country has never been greater. There's more money coming from state and federal programs for brownfields than there ever has been. As an example, in the last 2 years, it was more than $40 million in state funding that was made available. And that's actually consistent with some other previous years where the state has invested heavily in brownfield redevelopment, because they noticed that it's one of the greatest economic development tools they have, is to put money into brownfields, because they get it back to the tune of 8, 9, 10 times in terms of leveraged monies. And there's actually even more than $40 million in state funding, because there are other programs that have brownfield components, like the Community Investment Fund, which some towns are eligible for. And then there's the federal funding, which part of the ARPA money that came out, and the infrastructure money, the infrastructure bill included $1.5 billion in EPA brownfield grants. That's more than ever before. And in fact, it's equivalent to about 5 or 6 years of typical funding crammed in on top of regular funding. So what that means is EPA has been pushing a lot of money out to the they're trying their best to push this money out to the communities for brownfield funding. And so there's a lot of money out there. And we also know Eastern Connecticut is disproportionately impacted by brownfields. So we want to be sure to capture as much of this funding from state and federal sources as possible. We really want to help tip the scales in favor of brownfield redevelopment and revitalization. And it's the perfect time for us to be doing that. So with regard to our capacity redevelopment, or capacity development rather, the Eastern Connecticut Land Bank, we're asking for some funding from towns, our partner communities, but we are also changing the rules. We are currently seeking funding from the state of Connecticut by doing just that, by changing the legislation. Currently, as brownfield land banks in Connecticut are eligible for grants for brownfield assessment and cleanup, there is no mechanism to provide any capacity building grants to land banks. So we went ahead and proposed legislation through the Brownfield Working Group and through Senator Flexer's office to allow DECD to provide funding for operational expenses and capacity growing. This was actually just put forward last month at the Brownfield Working Group, which I've been on for about a dozen years now. And that group has wholeheartedly endorsed it, which is great, because it's every time legislation gets put forward by the Brownfield Working Group, it gets passed and signed by the governor. That's been consistent. So we have great support for this effort. And that's because brownfield land banks are going to be able to leverage funding at a level no other grant can do. So we're confident that this legislation will pass and that we will be able to win a grant probably about a year from now. If the legislation gets signed into law this summer, we think a program will be put forward in the fall, and that about this time next year, there may be money available. However, in the meantime, we need to be able to show the legislators and the state agencies that we have work to do, which is easy to show, and that we also have the support of the communities that we are trying to help. So this is why, again, I thank you for inviting me here. Last year, Thompson provided funding to Eastern Connecticut Land Bank of nearly $4,000. Thank you very much for that. I will say we haven't spent this money. And it's not because we didn't have work to do, but because we've been very frugal and we benefited from the contributions of, as I mentioned, of in-kind and pro bono legal services and other professional services. But we can't tap that well of kindness forever. We need to be able to retain and pay for professionals to accomplish our mission. So toward that goal, we would like to repeat our request from last year. We had requested $10,000. We will accept whatever generous gift the town of Thompson wishes to make. I will say that any money that goes to to Eastern Connecticut Land Bank, first of all, will be spent very frugally. As I said, the funding that we received last fall from you is still in the bank, and we are going to spend it, but we are going to spend it very carefully. We're on a shoestring budget, and we know it, and we take advantage, and we will continue to take advantage of as much in-kind and pro bono services as we can. But if we do get some funding, additional funding this year from Thompson, I can assure you that I think the town will see that money returned many times over, because we will assist you as long as the land bank is in existence. We will assist you in dealing with your brownfield sites. I will, and other members of the board will continue to be available free of charge to help, but many other professionals are needed to tackle brownfields. We need to be able to rely on engineers and surveyors and attorneys and planners and development experts and finance people. And these are the folks that we want to be able to have on retainer to call on a moment's notice, so that we can bring them in, have them answer a question. It might be a quick meeting, it might be a quick site visit, or it may be something a little bit more in depth. But these are the things that the land bank, in order to function, is going to need to be able to do, and the funding is critical for that. So I thank you again for Thompson's past generosity, and again for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I welcome any questions. I'm sure I've forgotten some important topics.
Wayne, I guess my only question is, I know that there were other towns that had contributed to the land bank, but and I understand that maybe the funds that we had given to the land bank haven't been used, but what kind of expenditures have you faced? What things have you had to pay for in the last year?
So it's been very, very basic right now. We've had to pay for our annual report that has to get filed with the state secretary of the state's office. We have a post office box that we pay for, which I think right now it basically gets our bill from the state secretary of the state's office that says we owe them money for the report. We don't get a lot of mail yet.
Right.
We've had a few other minor expenses that we've had in order to basically just operational costs. They're very small, but everything else has been pro bono. So we really haven't spent much of anything. I think there was attendance at a brownfield meeting. So there was a $50 charge or $100 charge or something like that to attend a conference. But that's pretty much it for the year.
And are you primarily looking to add staff, i.e. retaining certain attorneys or engineers to do some work for you, or are you actually looking for full-on staff to run the ECLB?
So we would love to be in a position a year from now with this grant funding. I should have taken that a little deeper. The grant that we are trying to enable by changing the legislation that will allow capacity building funding for brownfield land banks, we intend to use that money for hiring full-time staff. We realize that we can't do what we need to do without an executive director, somebody who can not only operate, basically carry out the functions of the day-to-day functions of the land bank, but also do outreach to the communities, try to play matchmakers between communities and developers and property owners and others. And also raising funds. What we see in the next 3 years is our organization is going to be in this transition phase where we are going to basically get our feet under us where we can build the capacity with staff and move to a model where the land bank can eventually become sustained through a variety. We'll have a very synergistic organization, a synergy with our municipal partners, and a resilience that'll be created by having funding come from a bunch of different sources. So one of the things that we can do is if we can clean up a property, let's say we take title to a property and we clean it up using grants, we may be able to take advantage of the any proceeds of a sale once the property is resold. So if, let's say we took it as a tax lien or foreclosure or something like that, cleaned it up using grant funding and other sources of funding, turned it around and sold it, we might be able to realize some profit there that we can then, put back into our bank account and use it on the next project that comes along. We would continue, obviously, to seek grants because this is how these bigger projects get done. These are, you've got to think of brownfields as market failures. They are not going to get better without this infusion of funding and effort on the part of the communities and the state and the feds, everybody growing in the same direction. So we will be a major player in that regard, and so we will be going after additional funding for projects, and if the state changes the rules and allows us capacity building grants, we'll take advantage of those to the extent that we can. But our whole goal is to have a diversity of funding sources so that we can be resilient as we move forward.
Are there any questions from the selectmen at this time?
Hey, Wayne, it's Ken.
Evening, Ken.
Hey, how you doing? I give you and your board of directors and everybody that's there thanks for doing what you're doing pro bono, etc., while you're developing your core committee and getting in a place where to go by not spending, some of that money and saving towards using going forward, like you said, to hire a director, etc. And that does take money to get that up front, and sometimes that comes very slow. But we've talked about this over the years, especially with the 929 mill that we've all been working on the last half a dozen years, and that there is a definite need for this, but it is a big undertaking, and it's going to take time to get that up and going where, the money is there in order to sustain and get good quality people. So thank you for what you're doing, and I do see the Northeast definitely benefiting this, with all the towns that are going to be involved with it.
Well, thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's a team effort, and the involvement of, our involvement with the town, as I see it, is, we want to obviously make a difference right from the get-go, but the other thing that I'm looking at is down the road, the whole board has recognized that we need these partnerships to be robust and productive, mutually beneficial. And for the land bank, I won't, there's no other way to say it. Without the town's support, we probably won't get the state support that we need. So it's sort of I guess a chicken and the egg sort of thing, where we have the great ability to do such great work. The work is already there. It's ready for us to go in and do it. We don't have the money yet. to get the money, we have to show that we're actually already doing the work. And so there is no substitute then for the volunteers to kind of going out there and doing what we can, even if it is on a shoestring budget. The truth though is the more we plug away, the more we can do, if with available funding, the greater impact that we can have. There's no question. And the reality is without the investment in it and staff, we're only going to be nibbling around the edges of the problems. So the state in their wisdom created the Brownfield Land Bank legislation. It's a wonderful idea. The concept of it is great. Everybody in our, on our board believes it and believes in it. And there's no lack of work for us to do out there. It's just getting over this hump, this initial challenge. It's almost as though we're building a community, trying to build one very quickly. Our participation in the land bank is similar to all of your participation. You volunteer for these positions. You work for the towns. You invest in your time and that energy in these local commissions and committees, and that's what we were doing. We're just trying to do it on throughout the whole region and tie it all together and make the entire region much stronger. We don't have Eastern Connecticut doesn't have the population of a big city like Boston or Worcester or Bridgeport or someplace, but we have there is strength in numbers if we can kind of tie us all together and as a region, seek grants and work together. We can really accomplish great things.
Right. Wayne, so the land bank, the concept of a land bank, I'm assuming there's other land banks throughout Connecticut and New England. Do you know details about those land banks and have they been successful in launching themselves? I don't know how to term it, but.
No, yeah, that's a fantastic question. And I thank you for asking it, actually, because I can answer it in a way that I think will underscore what I've been trying to say. And that is, so in answer to your question about other land banks, there are two other incorporated land banks in Connecticut. One of them is in Hamden, and it was incorporated in conjunction with the local community development corporation in Hamden. Okay. The other one is affiliated with ValleyCog, NVCog, the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments, and in fact the executive director of NVCog, Rick Dunn, is also the executive director of that land bank. It's called the Connecticut Brownfield Land Bank. They don't operate the way we do. They operate more as they're set up more as businesses, I guess, is how I would put it. Particularly the one in Hamden, and that one actually is about to be dissolved, if it hasn't already. They did a couple of projects, but it didn't get very much momentum. The ValleyCog affiliate, what's called the Connecticut Brownfield Land Bank, was the first one to be created, and they partnered with ValleyCog partly because the director who began that land bank had already been sort of doing this work in that region for a long time. He'd been on behalf of the COG, he'd been getting EPA Brownfield Revolving Loan Fund grants that allowed the COG to loan out the funding to municipalities and to businesses to do cleanups on brownfield sites. So he had already established himself pretty strongly in that area, but they didn't really develop themselves as a land bank. And by that, I mean, they are an affiliate of the COG, and when they attempt to take on a project, they are fortunate in the sense that they have the backing of the whole COG, but they don't. I will say that they're not taking on, they're not taking much risk. They're not tackling the really worst of the worst sites.
Mhm.
And I think our board has basically said, well, in Eastern Connecticut, what are the sites that are the most challenging and have the greatest impact, the negative impact on the communities? Well, they're properties like 630 Riverside Drive, right? Or the command site, or the Interroyal Mill site in Plainfield, or you name it. There's a bunch of them, right? That have that people, they have maybe they're greater hurdles than, say, Anchor Glass was in Dayville and Killingly, which because it was right on the highway. That was a brownfield site, but it got the attention of developers early on. But there's plenty of sites that are kind of languishing on state highways and on back roads and across our region, and we want to tackle those. But it's instructive to look at a land bank like Connecticut Brownfield Land Bank. Rick Dunn, who's executive director, told me that one of the projects that they tackled recently, they're in the process of working on, is in Southington, which is interesting because that's not even in their region. But in any case, they formed an alliance with Southington. The land bank can go where it will, and they created a 3-party agreement to tackle this one project between the town, a developer, and the land bank. And the legal fees just to set up that 3-party agreement, as I understand it, were over $100,000. So when we look at these projects, we realize that this isn't something where a bunch of volunteers are going to be able to handle this and move these projects forward all the time. There are going to be times where legal obstacles and technical obstacles are going to require a healthy investment of funding. So that's really the climate of land banks in Connecticut right now. Connecticut land banks, the legislation that enabled us was focused on brownfields specifically, and that's a little bit unique. There aren't a lot of parts of the country where land banks have been established that are focused on brownfields, on commercial industrial properties. Most of them, the land banks were kind of generated out of the Rust Belt cities, and they focused more on housing, like large tracts of housing in places like Michigan and Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, even in Western New York and Buffalo areas. So these are land banks that were created to address large tracts of vacant housing as there was this mass exodus of people as populations declined. And so you'd have all these vacant houses. So that was sort of the genesis of land banks. But Connecticut took a different tack because our challenge wasn't housing so much as it was these vacant mill sites and other brownfields. So there isn't a real great model in our area. There are a few land banks. Suffolk County, New York, on Long Island, has a land bank that is more robust in dealing with brownfields. But all of them are affiliates of government agencies. They're all governmental or quasi-governmental agencies, often attached to county governments. And Connecticut, of course, without county governments, there wasn't a ready-made system for us to kind of piggyback on. We are going to and have been seeking out help from NECOG, from CCOG, from other community organizations, and we're in the process of tying it all together into something more cohesive. But some of this is we're making it up as we go, and that's the nature of new legislation. But it's a challenge. But I think all of the tools are in the toolbox except for the funding piece. We have the ability to do all of the things that our mission said we should be doing. We just don't have the funding at this moment to do that in a robust manner. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Long-winded answer?
No, absolutely. Yeah. Any other questions from the selectmen? I have no more members of the public.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like there's any more questions, Wayne. Thank you so much for coming in tonight and sharing this information with us.
Well, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Wayne.
Suzanne, were you going to say?
No,
Thank
I was
you.
just gonna say thank you very much. It was very informative.
And
Thank,
additionally, Wayne, you're always there for the town of Thompson. I call you just to try to get information on various things. Just recently that stewardship permit, you helped me out with that. So thank you for being there for the town of Thompson. You do a lot more than you go above and beyond for sure.
well, that's very nice of you to say, and I guess that's why I thought land banks was such a cool thing at the time, because it was an opportunity to formalize kind of what I'd like to do anyway, which, a lot of, and everybody on the board seems to be so inclined to, help out communities.
Right.
This is a way where the sum is, greater than any of the individuals. If we can pool our resources, we can really do great things. I truly
Agreed.
believe it. I think our board does. So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.
You too. All right,
Bye-bye.
and we do have our next presenters, Thames Valley Council for Community Action, TVCCA, Eugene Thoreau. Eugene, welcome. Are you there? You might have stepped away.
I'm here. I'm going to turn on the video. There we go.
Ah, great.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming in to share what's going on at TVCCA and share your request for this year. Did you want to share your screen at all? Because you do have the capability to share your screen.
I do not have a formal presentation. It's all verbal.
Okay.
I believe you have what we're asking for as part of your package. So I'm sure. I'm not sure if I've recognized it. It's been a couple of years, I think, since we've actually did an in-person meeting.
Yeah, we've been Zoom the last few years. So my fellow selectmen are in the meeting. We have Ken Beausoleil, who I'm sure you'll remember.
Yes.
Suzanne Witkowski. We also have our finance director, Bill Steglitz, in the meeting tonight. And I think most of the public has since left. So, and Sue Starkey's here from NDDH. She's the next presenter. So,
Great.
And everybody did receive, the selectmen did receive your request, the letter that you sent, or I think it came from Deb Monahan.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
So.
I wrote it. She signed it. But,
Okay.
So we are, TVCCA is a community action agency. We provide services. We actually have 31 programs as an agency providing individuals of need. We have energy assistance, job assistance, the whole gamut. But part of that is our senior nutrition program. And what we do specific in Thompson, as we do throughout Eastern Connecticut, is we provide a Meals on Wheels program, which provides meals for individuals that are homebound. Also a bit of socialization, a wellness check by the individual that delivers the meals, some human contact. So it is more than that meal that's just being delivered. And we also have a cafe program. The cafe program, again, helps seniors get out, gives them a common place to visit, have a good meal, provide that socialization, and then any other programs that might be available at that time of a lunch. For the home delivered program, last year we serviced 37 seniors in Thompson. We provided 4,653 meals for those 37 individuals. And that was at a cost of about $39,000. Our cafe program, we actually had 91 individuals that participated last year. We provided 5,000 meals, and that was about $90,000 of cost for those meals. And that's a total cost. That's the food and the labor and everything. So there is quite a cost that goes along with with the services that we are providing. We do get a reimbursement at about 45%-ish. It's that we've been flat funded for the past couple years. We do rely on grants. We do rely on the individuals also making a contribution to help offset the meal. We don't get a whole lot. We ask for $3. And on average, we get about 82 cents. Times are tough. We understand. We're not going to deny anybody a service or a meal because they can't afford to pay. But that is the service that we're in.
Are these numbers, Jean, relatively consistent year after year? Are you seeing a rise in the number of seniors that are coming out for the meal? These just, I'm thinking food
Yep.
prices, food cost increases. Just curious, year over year, what
Yep.
if you have any?
The home delivered, I believe last year we were at 35. So we had 2 more people this past year than we did last year. The cafe, I'm actually happy that it's as high as it is. There is very good participation in Thompson. We have a strong cafe program. We did go through a little bit of a slump, but the numbers are on the rise.
Yeah, true. I always forget COVID was the last few years, so it probably took a while for the program to rebound.
Yes, it did. Yeah. We opened up, it was actually a year, it'll be a year in June that we reopened.
Yeah.
But to that point, yes, food is more expensive. We do find that people, our numbers do go up because of that.
So I think last year, our contribution, and Bill can correct me if I'm wrong, but last year's contribution was $11,000. Actually, I think he did confirm that for me. And you are looking for about a 10% increase over what we gave last year, 12,100.
Yes.
Are there any questions from the selectmen?
It's a wonderful program, especially the cafe. It's a great way for the people to get out and socialize, especially due to the hard circumstances over the last few years. It always does seem to be very well attended. The only other question that I have is with the seniors for the Meals on Wheels, has that number gone up or down?
It went up 2 people since last year. So it's actually pretty consistent. When you look at, there's not a lot of people that actually come off. Basically, they would come off most to that. Unfortunately, they have gone other places. We just can't service them any longer. But again, the goal with Meals on Wheels is to have them age in place and stay in their home as long as possible. And it's a lot more affordable for the individual to be able to do that than have to go to an assisted living. And then, we know that some of those circumstances are beyond an individual's control, but that is our goal, is to help them do that.
So the cost is $3 per meal?
That's what we ask, the donation of the individual to help.
And has that been, that hasn't gone up recently?
We have not asked for more. We have not increased that donation ask in 5 years.
Yeah, I didn't think it had increased in a while. And that's 5 days a week? And do you do weekend frozens as well?
So for the home delivered, they do get 5 meals, depending on when they join the program. They would get suppers and they could get weekends, but we're not able to provide anybody new that's coming on the program. We're able to provide 5 meals a week, and that's what we're able to do at this time.
That's nice.
We do have one route, and we provide we deliver 3 times a week in Thompson. So it's not they get 5 meals.
It's not a daily.
But we don't see the individual 5 days a week. That
Oh,
goal would be to be able to do that, so we could see them every day, but unfortunately, that's where we're at right now.
I like how you stated that it's also wellness checks.
Yes.
it's socialization between the driver, the delivery driver, and also wellness checks. That's important for some of our seniors who might not have family that are close.
I fill in and I do routes and I'll, quite honestly, people are happier to see me than they are to actually get the meal.
Yeah.
You know, and we have, on this route, we actually have 3 hours to be able to deliver the food because it's a refrigerated truck and a heated truck. But for those individuals that are delivering in an insulated bag, they actually have 2 hours to do the route. And depending on how many individuals you have on the route, to do that in 2 hours, and you know, Northeast is very rural as well. So you could have 15 people or 10 people on a route, and it could take you a solid 2 hours to be able to do that just in travel time. So when you spend, 5-10 minutes with somebody because they just want to talk and tell you about their life and their family, it is difficult to be able to do that delivery in that allotted time. But yes, it is pretty interesting how they're actually happier to see you than they are to get the meal.
Right. Any other questions for Mr. Thoreau?
Well, thank you again for your support of our program over the years. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for
Thank
taking
you.
the time to come and
Thank
see
you.
us.
You're welcome. Have a
Thank you
great,
very much.
Have a great night.
you too. Thank you.
All right, and with that, we can move on to our final presenter, Sue Starkey from NDDH. Hi, Sue, how are you?
I am well. Thank you for the friendly reception. I feel like this is a harder conversation with all of you because I know we'll be talking about services in our budget. And it's even hard for me to go to the towns and talk about what's going on with public health and with our agency and what's going on across the state. I sent you some materials.
Yes, and that was shared with the selectmen.
Thank you. So the first thing that you got a while back was the annual report that shows the services that we deliver. Basically, the same sorts of services that you've seen in the past. The degree to which we've completed services is lower than what we would like to see. And that's largely due to the fact that we can't attract and retain a qualified workforce. And that is something that's going on across the entire nation, across the state, and particularly in Northeast Connecticut. We're a training ground for people who go on and get better jobs at someplace else where they want to live. And the commissioner knows about this. I want you to know that I'm an advocate. Going to the state and bringing it to her attention and then standing up and saying, you still don't understand how important workforce is and that we need to work on this. So she has developed a workforce committee to try to help to make sure that we have more people who can come in and do this work. But it's because of the workforce shortages that we really see a much higher per capita rate next year. I sent you the document that shows our revenue and expenses. We try to balance things off by charging a fee that covers the service that we do for people who apply for permits or have their restaurants inspected. And people say, why do we pay for our restaurant inspection and we didn't get inspections done? Part of it is because it takes about a year to get a person that we're paying to do full-time work trained to do the work because of all the courses and requirements that the state has and all the time that they need to be spending shadowing somebody or demonstrating that they can do the work. So it's just gotten to the point where it's hard to keep up with all that we have to do. But the crew that we have right now, we've put them through a year or so. They actually are getting to the point where they are qualified to do their work. We want to keep them. We think that it's going to take more money than we've ever paid in the past. We have union negotiations coming up. We're predicting something like a $4 an hour increase because otherwise we won't have anybody to do this work. The third thing that I gave you was what we called an a la carte per capita justification. We told the finance committee and then the board, well, these are the things that we want. And if you costed it out for each town, it would cost this much for the salary or this much for a new car or whatever. We said it would cost $4.01. They voted to tell the towns that the absolute most that we would ask for when we finalize our budget in April is $3.75. I can tell you that we've taken off some things like a car, or we've trimmed down some of our staff to be part-time instead of full-time so that we're not paying as much benefits. Right now, we're looking at a $3 per capita increase. And I know that's still high. What I'm doing to try to address that is push really hard for the state to come up with some of the funds. Every time they can give us $85,000, it cuts down $1 on the per capita. I think some of this could happen because the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention sent the state foundational money to say, you've never invested enough in local public health. Here's something that locals can do whatever they want with. The state hasn't given us any information about that. They got it in the fall. We think it'll be sent out to the towns during fiscal year 24. If we get 85,000 from them, that shaves another $1 off the per capita that we need to ask for. I have a conversation with Kathy Austin. She's the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee. Friday morning, I'm gonna ask for $2 per capita increase for local health departments. Now, technically that's $3. It doesn't mean we're gonna ask you for a $0 per capita increase. We know we'll need a little bit more each year from you, but we're doing our best to try to cut down the amount that we're asking you for. And it really just does have to do with the fact that it costs so much for personnel. We don't have much wiggle room in our budget. You know, we can't cut from one department and give to another. We can't use a different funding model besides the per capita funding so that every town pays exactly the same amount, even though different towns get a different set of services. So these are some of the things that the state is really going to have to take a look at. I think the commissioner that we have in place right now is probably looking to change the way public health is delivered in Connecticut. And I'm just giving you a prediction of the future, and that some of these things are probably going to change. I know that there are towns that are saying, we want to go and shop around and find another health district that costs less. And what I've told them is, you really could look for someplace that should cost less, but things are going to change. First of all, because you're part of the district, you will have to be a part of the district all through fiscal year 24. You have to pay the per capita that the board voted in. You could leave the district if you thought it was to your advantage. But I don't know that it really would be to your advantage or that it's possible. I'll have another meeting. I can get you more information about that. But there aren't necessarily places to go. If you left NDDH, there's no guarantee that another health department would even vote to accept your town into their district, because it would cost them money and people and places and travel and things that might not make it economically viable for them. So we have to come up with a solution that works for all of us.
Sue, question for you. Last year, I was looking just to see what last year's per capita was at $7.50.
Yes.
Okay.
And this one, like I said, we're going to keep trying to cut it back. It's hard for me to even come to you with this request, in part because I hear a group like TVCCA that keeps their costs minimal and does something important. I hear and see that there are social service agencies that try to do things and keep their costs under control. But all of the demands that the state's putting on us to deliver these services are getting higher and higher and harder and harder. So I don't want to compete with them and take more than our fair share. But you've seen some of the things that the state has done recently, like increasing the requirements for lead inspections or lead poisoning prevention. Every single bit of it adds up to our work.
Any questions for Sue from the Board of Selectmen?
I think the biggest issue, I mean, we know that costs are going up and nobody wants to pay more. I think with stuff that I've heard out there that people get frustrated with is the time it takes to get something done. Whether it's a septic system inspection or, things of that nature that, again, time is money for contractors or, home repairs and, things of that nature. And if we could find, that medium that the cost, benefits, to shorten the delays, everybody's a winner.
Well, I think what Sue was saying is that they're lacking the qualified staff and that's
Right.
slowing things down.
Exactly.
But which would also lead me to ask, well, there's been money appropriated for staff. If staff has left and technically not being replaced, then where does that money go?
They get replaced with somebody that has no skills, and none of the credentials that are required to do the work.
Okay.
So we might have been short somebody for 2 months, but then we hire some new people and train them for a year
Mhm.
or 2. And we can't afford to lose them. The ones that we've got in now are committed people. They've learned a lot. But when every other health department in the state is looking for somebody, we've got to be able to compete.
Okay.
I want to ask you, what are you doing to control your costs? What kind of cost of living increases are you giving people when we know that the economy and the cost of living has gone up so much and you want to retain your staff? What kind of salary increases do you see that you
Well,
might be able to
I mean,
afford?
we have a union contract, and they've received in the last 2 years 1.75%. So they're slated to receive 2.25%. Now, when negotiations come up again, that it'll be a different story. But not having foreseen the rise in inflation, we wrote a contract 3 years ago that stated as such. So
What are you doing about benefits for some things like health insurance? That's what cost so much for us. Have you found a formula, a policy, a plan, or a way to give your staff benefits that they think are good and worth staying? 'Cause
well,
I'm-
that's I think that's one of our perks in town is we do have a strong health insurance plan. The employees pay through the union pay 19% of the cost. And yeah, and then of course we have our municipal retirement. So I mean, we're dealing with those costs and I think it's projecting a 12% increase this year with health insurance. So and we're facing all the same challenges, certainly faced all the same challenges with finding qualified staff and people that want to work. So you're right. I mean, that's nationwide, or at least in this part of the country. So we feel those same pains.
The one thing that I want to say that might be different is that you have a variety of different jobs that and there's a big group of people that you could hire from. When we need to hire registered sanitarians, and they're as scarce as can be, our staff has to have bachelor's degrees in order to do food inspections. It's
hard.
Yeah.
So is it mostly the mandates from the state that it's falling on you?
Yeah, and the and the turnover, but the
Okay.
mandates that keep increasing. This year, the state changed all the rules for food service inspections. I don't know whether you heard it, Amy. They did adopt the FDA code. It's not going to make great big changes in the way that people operate their restaurants, but it's going to make huge changes in the way that we inspect and document and fill out forms. Where the state had 7 pages, there's volumes, you can't even see, as big as my head,
Right.
of new documents and procedures that you have to follow. It's going to take months and months for the people who actually learned how to do food inspections to learn how to do it a new way. So
Right.
that's going to slow us down again. I'm just giving you these warnings. I hope you can see that I know I'm the bearer of difficult news, but there is a plan for how to get people qualified to make sure that we stay on track and try to tackle all these things that are going on. Ken, you mentioned the delays in getting permits and things done. I hope that we'll be able to address that, because that's some of the areas where the staff has had the greatest growth over the past year. The one thing that I do hear is that lots of the same things are impacting the construction industry. And lots of times they can say, oh, well, we're waiting for NGDH, even though it works out for everybody that they all know they have to, it's going to take months longer. Not using that as an excuse, I'm just saying that's the way of the world right now. Can you think of something that I could do or should do? Because I will put it in place, and I am being completely transparent. When I care about good public health services and social services that I know you're trying to provide, and coming up with the best model, and if it changes things for the better by doing it in a different way, I'll help you figure it out. But I hope that we stay a strong region for good services.
Any other questions from the selectmen or even the finance director? So Sue, you said that in April, you should be making your final, you'll have your final proposed increase.
Yep, the budget always has to be sent out by April. I can keep you updated as we try to trim it down. If I can find out that the state will tell us that they're giving us more foundational funding, or if the state is going to kick in more for the state per capita funding,
Mhm.
I'll let you know so that you have the best information for your own budgets.
Okay, and as far as our population, are you basing it on the same numbers as NECOG? NECOG's giving us 9,226. What's the numbers that you're showing?
I'm gonna pull up my, it's based on the 7/1/21 population estimates that we have to use
Okay,
from the, State Department of Public Health, 9,226.
okay, great. All right,
You've
Well-
been very gracious. I know I'm coming in with difficult news. I really appreciate you listening, hearing, but no, I'm doing my best.
and I'm hoping for some slightly better news.
We're gonna make it better. I don't know if you'll say that it's great, but we're gonna keep working on it, okay?
All right, well, appreciate that for sure.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Sue.
Thanks, Sue.
Have a good night. We finished a little early.
Yeah, we always like that.
Have a good night. Thanks again.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, any selectmen comments at this point?
I have nothing.
Okay.
Not yet.
Finance director, you're unmuted. Any comments?
No, nope,
Okay.
I'm good. Thank you.
I mean, at this point, worst case scenario, clear. 9,226 times. Worst case scenario, terrible case scenario.
Oh, it's not good.
Unless Last year it was 68,887. If by chance they went up by $3.75, it's $34,597 more.
Didn't we get a huge increase last year?
It was the year before, and
was
then
the year
last year was
before?
another 50 cents. This is just catastrophic, and I just
And-
I can't even fathom it.
But do we have an option? Is there another health department? Can we go out to bid?
I had reached out, and you have to either start your own department or find another health department that would take you on. But know that if it's further away, they'd be having to come here to investigate or to inspect septic systems, restaurants. I mean, yeah, I mean, we could. I'll look into it.
What was the cost again? If it's $3 more?
If $3.75 is what she said, the board wouldn't go any higher than, even though they came up with a $4 number. $34,597.50
Crazy.
is the increase. So in total with last year's, oh shoot, I lost my number.
You'd be at,
About 106.
Did you figure it out, Bill?
yeah, it's right, like Ken said, around 100, low hundreds.
Right.
I think we
No.
gotta somehow look at this because that's ridiculous. The limited number of services that were even provided.
Oh yeah, did you notice
It's
that?
concerning. Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
yes, I did. I went over it. I remember this being an issue it must have been 2 years ago.
Well, even last year it was brought up during
And
the
last year,
budget
yes.
meetings. And I was asked to look into what else can we do? And short of starting your own or finding another health department that would take us on, we might be stuck.
What does that mean, starting your own? Is that like hiring a public nurse?
The
Or,
town,
I mean, a
the
public.
town would have to run their own Department of Public Health entirely. That's really not.
I wonder if there's any town that, no, I mean, if it means hiring one or two people or
But I
one
don't think it
person,
is one or two people.
that's what I'm wondering, what that means, I guess. Because that's ridiculous and we're not getting the level of service of what we're paying for.
Right. I guess my biggest
If that's,
question, my biggest question for them in asking, well, what did you do with the money that you had allocated? Even with a 2-month, let's say you were missing an employee for 2 months. Well, that's money that should still have stayed in the budget. So but anyways,
do we get audit statements from them?
yeah, I would say probably. We should be able to. So.
That to me is just kind of I get it, their hands are held to the fire and but that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
That is pretty bad. It's almost.
Well, it's a 50% increase roughly. It is a 50% increase.
It is, yep.
Get it, yeah.
Yeah. All right, if there's no other comments or thoughts, I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting at 6:56 PM.
And I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.